Alright, so this video has been going on for quite some time. We're going to try to speed things up. We're going to go ahead and move Goth 1, 2, 3. We know kind of how it works here, at least with the everything. So 8 versus 8. So he's able to defend 10 versus. Ooh, they're both pretty good, but unfortunately he does take 1 point, but he's going to heal it anyways. And the Jock is going to try to do his check. Okay, perfect. So the Jock here has enough on his check to know that the answer is, and those who have seen the show and know what the answer is a hole. And so the Jock is going to have to try to get back down here to Dr. Vinks and tell him the answer so we can continue with the rest of the narrative. And so in this case, we'll have these two guys attack here. The nerd is kind of in a nice spot here. You know what? It doesn't even really matter because these two guys should not be able to do 20 hit points worth, sorry, 20 fear points worth of damage to him. Goth will go ahead and move 1, 2, 3. But the nerd will go ahead and try to attack Zebo more. And what does he get? He gets the plus or the times 2. So I'm not even gonna roll it because he doesn't have any actual weapons on him. So he's always just going to do a basic attack. So that first one is a 7 versus Zebo's defense. So 5. So that's 2 hit points he's going to be taking. His second attack is also 7 versus Zebo's defense of 6. And so he does 3 hit points to him, while the nerd is going, or not nerds, I keep getting the names mixed up. Well, the Jock is 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll keep going from that point. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, and again, I just kind of skip things here because, I mean, whether he takes amount of damage, okay, but he's always going to heal things up again. And so we're gonna 1, 2, 3. Let's do that with Goth. And so we're back up to the nerd. He's gonna keep on attacking Zebo, and he gets the times 2 again. And so that's 4. Let's see if Zebo is able to defend it. Yep. So Zebo is fine on that first attack, but that second attack is 5. Let's see if Zebo can defend it. Yes, unfortunately, the nerd doesn't do anything. The Jock, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's still hanging out there. Back to the bad guy's turn. Goth's going to move up to his 3. They're going to try to attack him. Heals right back up. You see, and kind of in this spot here, like this might be maybe like the service spot for the nerd because he can try to run past, but these guys have pretty decent speed and scare that the fact that he can heal up at the end of each of his turns really helps out. But the nerd is going to try to attack Zebo here again. What does he get? Just a normal punch, and he's just going to try to punch him, so he only does a 4 versus Zebo's defense. So Zebo's not taking any damage. And then finally, we get to Dr. Vink's cabin, where we'll continue our story here. You tell Dr. Vink the answer to the riddle. Ah, so you're not as stupid as you look, he says with a mocking giggle. Very well. I will give you back the hand for a trade. Bring me the nose of Zebo, the fangs of Nosferatu, and the blue saliva of the ghastly grinner. Once I have these little souvenirs, I will surrender the hand. Dr. Vink begins laughing like a crazed lunatic and pushes you out of the door. Alrighty, we are at the final stretch of the game here, at least for this adventure. Just kind of make things go by faster, because I think you kind of get how the game is supposed to be. You should be able to understand how a turn works, how attacking works, how looking at items, how discovering things. it might take a bit to kind of get used to as you are starting out, but I feel and I sure hope that through my examples you have been able to see, oh hey, this isn't too bad. And so, with that being said, I might just end it here, just kind of explain what's going to happen. Um, so what could have happened is let's assume that none of these guys were on the board, and there you go. There's Nosferatu. They would all start on their respected areas. So he starts on the Rialto. That's Rialto. It sounds like I'm saying that wrong. Anyways, Zero starts off on the Funhouse. Again, I know it's technically called Laughing in the Dark, and then the Ghastly Grinner starts off in the Comic Shop. Since these guys were already here, you know, they just go ahead and stay there. So what would have happened was, and it would have taken a little bit of time, but eventually the heroes would have been able to overcome these guys here, Zebo, Grinner, and Nosferatu. And so they would have had the rest of, or like what the 3 items they had to have. And then once they got them, what would have happened is the players would then return to Dr. Vinks. He would give them the hand, and then they would return to Watcher's Woods, where they would finish things up. In this, you don't, I mean, like the heroes in regards to like important like story element items all kind of share one giant pool worth, and so like let's say the jock was the one that overcame all of the monsters. Well, the nerd could still potentially go run over to those areas and still count it as a win. So, I mean that's kind of it. I'll go ahead and I will not only tell you what the ending is, and I'll do a little read through of that here in just the next bit, but I will also tell you what is said if it's a game over too. Because yes, like there are 2 different outcomes, and so with that being said, let's go ahead and hear what those things are. Although I guess the heroes could rediscover some of these areas here if they really wanted to for potentially extra items, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff here. Encounter. This is the typewriter from the what's the episode of that Dream Machine. There's more monsters in here. Another encounter from Crimson Clown. Super Soaker Gun from Pinball Wizard. That's not what the sword was, but that's my version of what's his head sword, cutter sword. Anyways, this is a Dangerous Soup reference here. Door unlocked. More monster summons. Encounter of nightly neighbors. Anyways, they just keep on going here. I'll just finish the rest of them. Walkman, which we had earlier. The Big Mistakes Eraser. The Carved Stone. Quiet Librarian. Apartment 214. Monster. And then the Twisted Claw. And then for some of these other monsters, to just kind of show you here, we have Master Raymond as a monster, Robot Zombie Gentleman, Quiet Librarian, Nazrak, who I always want to call him Narzak, but obviously that's not what his name is. I know she wasn't a bad guy. In fact, like the museum guy in the episode was, but yeah, I just used her. Crimson Clown, of course, the Hatchling Mother, Fire Ghost, Brother Septimus, Captain Jonas Cutter, Vampire. I did actually add in some new stuff. So there's the Shadow Man, Corpse from whatchamacallit, and the Headless Horseman here. So yeah, to kind of give you a little bit. So let's go ahead and read over those the uh, the good ending first, and then the bad ending second. You return to Watcher's Woods and find Flynn. As you return his severed hand to him, you see a big, goofy smile widen across his face. He turns from you and begins to walk away towards a yellow cab you somehow didn't notice before. He travels only a few feet and stops with his back toward you. Suddenly, his head turns all the way around, revealing a zombified face. Thanks. It's been fun. He then gets in the vehicle and slowly drives away before it completely vanishes. The darkened forest lights up and the morning comes. Now that the sun has arrived, you see the way out of Terror Town. The end. Terror Town is too much for you, and you begin to run frantically in hopes to find a way out. Your crazed actions are quickly stopped as you're swept up into a large brown sack. Try as you might, you are unable to break free. You feel yourself dragged across town until you eventually hear the familiar creaking of a door slowly opening, and soon are thrown onto a hard floor. You hear a strange bubbling of liquid, and soon the unmistakable sound of sharpening metal. Ah, specimens for my experiments. These will do quite nicely. The bag is opened and Dr. Vink stands over you holding a large cleaver. A crazed smile covers his face. You attempt to scream but are instantly silenced as the last thing you see is the good doctor bringing down a rustic cleaver towards your face. The end. Again, artistic liberties. And there you go. My Are You Afraid of the Dark board game. Um, like once again, I am 110% aware there could be some a couple things that could change on it. Um, there might be some balance issues. I'm aware here that this board could have used a little bit extra here to it, instead of just a quick, easy going thing. Once again, yeah, the original idea for it was a giant haunted house where each of the rooms is based off of pretty much one of these same areas. So, in this case here for Zebo's Funhouse, there would have been some sort of like a room with like references to the Laughing in the Dark Funhouse and the actual episode itself. And Dr. Vink's room, there could have been like different things that are based off of him, etc., etc. And one of the things that I wanted to do here is have this be, yes, board game focused, because this is still at the end of the day a board game, and obviously, as you saw with my example here, things were stretched to kind of fill the role of a board game here. I mean, obviously in Phantom Cab, Zebo, the Grinner, and Nosferatu don't show up in those episodes, and Dr. Vink doesn't require the two kids to go get certain items for him. That's just all me. But anyways, but I really wanted it to be tried my hardest at least to be story driven. Um, I try to, at least in terms of like the story options, there are 20 of them. I mean, and so like there is one based off of Laughing in the Dark. There's one based off of Dead Man Below. And I mean, and I'm just trying to off the top of my head recall all of them are based off of, but they are based off of different episodes. Again, there are some things that I went ahead and just kind of added in. But yeah, I certainly hope you in, enjoy this year. Hopefully, you're able to get what the overall um, guidelines and rules were, and hopefully you get past my ramblings and just kind of going off, and as well as my horrible uh, shots here, because I feel sometimes there are times where I'd be over here and I'd be talking about something way down here. Um, but yeah, I think that if I had to go back and do this over again, I would I would like to have somebody do actual art. And the only reason why I didn't ask because I don't think this game is going anywhere beyond me here. But hey, if things were kind of uh, fixed up a bit, like if someone wanted to do actual art, heck, if someone wanted to do actual art, I would still like to do the overall like haunted house kind of idea, and I'm kind of thinking of like a more of like a top down view of like the rooms, and I think that having like unique art of each of the monsters could be interesting. Certain things I could fix on too. I mean, obviously there's one side of him, but then I like to have a other side. That could have helped out. But anyways, yeah, if yes, there's definitely, and I sure hope that you see that there was work and effort that was put into this. Coming up with all the rules, coming up with who is going to be in it, what's going to be this, what's going to be this. Coming up with all of the stats. Again, I will fully recognize that you're like, well, that's an odd stat. That's mostly because it's based off of what I thought was maybe like a frightening encounter. Maybe even giving the heroes instead of up to 20 fear points, maybe 25. Just all sorts of things. There are several of these checks in here that definitely need to be fixed up. Some that like if you were playing at the jock or someone else that make a check here, he doesn't have enough points in it, and so I'm certainly aware of those things. But again, this is the first version of this, and yeah, at this point I feel like I'm kind of just rambling on. But if you have any questions, or if you're even here to the end of this, because I feel this has been going on for quite some time. If you have any questions, yeah, go ahead and put them in the comments there. I'll try to answer things here. I did try to do the best I could to explain each of the rules. Try to have different situations show up. Try to have other things too. And so yeah, that's my Are You Afraid of the Dark board game. And so besides the things that I have talked about that need to be fixed up, let me know what you think. Thanks a bunch. Bye bye.